give community members sort of insight on the characteristics that they see every day and how it does affect people's willingness to walk, their comfort, their safety. And what we're hoping to get from them is a couple things, is the reconnaissance of what are the problems, as far as, whether there's an intersection that has a higher number of accidents, or there's a certain amount of cut-through traffic, and at the same time get also the positives on this is a nice street to walk, and we can maybe talk about why. And so what we're ultimately come up with is sort of a feedback loop of what we give them, some sort of analytical information about the quality of the environment, and they give us the sort of, context specific about this neighborhood and how it relates. And so what we're ultimately going to do is have a bunch of walking loops, walking tours that they can use for their neighborhood, but we can also distribute to other people so that there's a reason to explore other parts of the city. And so this is kind of interesting in that you have we walk through a lot of streets that are very much like two-way traffic, parked on either side, parkways where you have the trees and then the sidewalks. But we're looking at this street, and then we're actually going to go over one block that are these narrower streets where the homes are a little bit closer to the sidewalk. The sidewalks are pretty narrow. They don't have the area for the trees, but the street is really narrow. It's a very different characteristic, and there's a lot of qualities to this in some ways, and also some potential problems. I mean, you see where that street light is? Imagine trying to get around that with like a push cart or a stroller or in a wheelchair, or if you're holding the hand of a child, you have to sort of let the hand go so that they can go around. It's less of a concern on a street like this just because it's a little bit calmer, a little bit quieter, and so
no parkway. I mean, the whole thing is just narrowed down, so it's much more intimate. I mean, if somebody's on the other side of the street, you can talk to them easily. Or over here, you kind of have to shout or maybe come a little closer.
Well, and you might be a little bit, while the sidewalks are narrow, you might not be as concerned about walking in the street here versus like walking down the middle of the street there. And so in Central Long Beach, there's actually probably about a dozen of these sort of little narrow streets with cottages on either side, very intimate, kind of tight in, and so there's some benefit as far as, walking. Again, I don't have any concern standing in the middle of the street here, versus if we were over just a block standing in the middle of the street. But again, you see that street light right in the middle. It's a little bit harder if you are walking on the sidewalk to pass people. So there are sort of benefits. And then also there's not a lot of trees here, so it's getting a little bit warmer, but you're feeling the heat substantially on a street like this because there's not a lot of trees. Looking at this apartment building versus, there's a lot of apartment buildings that we walked by. A lot of them have like a door on the front. They might even have a porch. If you look at this one, there's a lot of garage doors right on the corner. Like along that side, you see there's no doors to the side, no doors inside. There's actually, you see the windows, they're either the really small ones or the medium ones. Those are either bedrooms or bathrooms. Not likely to be taking a shower and say hi to your neighbor, but those bigger windows over there are more for living rooms. There's front doors, and so you're much more like willing to engage with the street, if at all. I mean, unfortunately, there are no balconies or porches. Basically, what is in there is where that gate is. There's that's a gate to go into a central courtyard, and so that's where they all face. They don't face the street, and so luckily the neighborhood only has a couple of these, so it doesn't really impact too much. But if you had a whole block of that side, you would feel like you're walking against the wall. You're walking against somebody's most private areas of their house. So it's a very different feeling than, say, you have the porch here, you have the living rooms, you have the porches here, and you have their living rooms. It's a very different sort of relationship between private property and public property.
Just the difference between that side of the street and this side of the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I were over there, I'd come over here and walk down it almost every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Introduce yourself.
Sure, my name is Raymond Chavaria. I'm the Associate Project Director of United Cambodian Community. I'm
I'm also president of Latin American Community Center from MacArthur Park.
Okay, so what did you think of the walk today?
I think this is the first step for us to be healthy, that we have a designated route so that the community will not be afraid and they can come out and walk. I really enjoyed the walk. I think that's the planning stages of all this time has paid off.
What are some of the importances that you found?
Well, I found a lot of trees to provide shades. The two parks, the MacArthur Park and Rosa Park, what a great tribute and asset that we have to walk around the route. We saw a lot of homes who have a lot of gardenings. Very nice homes. I was telling you, I was really impressed with the homes that they were along the route. So I think people is going to really enjoy it, so that they really can get their neighbors and everybody come walking, and so we hope to increase the walk membership along the way.
Did you learn anything new while on this walk?
There's some repairs that we need to do, some street repairs, sidewalk repairs, but that's normal. But overall, I think the route is just a great route that I think I give it an A+.